as a way to try to jumpstart the laws of the universe to get them working in our favor. And to me, this blows my mind. But we're not done, because in the time left in this episode, I want to also show you that the other most beloved sacred monument, the Great Pyramid, just so happens to also have the law of the squared circle as well. Let's take a look. What are we seeing here on the left? It's a little bit hard to make out, but what we're looking at is, first of all, the Great Pyramid's base perimeter is the square, and that square could be anything. But then what we're seeing with the triangle that's overlaid on top of it is the exact height of the sides of the diagonals leading up to the top, the capstone. If you pop that capstone in place, it squares the circle. That's the proportion. It's much, much easier to see if you look at a 3D diagram from the side like we have from another website right here. Don't get all caught up in the math. I'm not trying to scare you, but I just want you to look down at the bottom down there and see this beautiful squared circle relationship in which the pyramid, sure enough, it isn't exactly that the edges of the pyramid, the corners on the four sides of the base, actually touch the circle. Because remember, you don't want to touch the circle, otherwise you don't get the squared circle relationship. What you need is for them to slightly poke out from the edges of the circle in order for the squared circle to be clean. But it's the point that the tip does touch the sphere. That's how the squared circle relationship is made. You see all these weird mathematical proportions that are here. This is Stonehenge and the pyramid linked together with squared circle geometry, which, as I said, is also the shape of the human body. It shows up in these cathedrals, and the same scientist who gave us that diagram showing the Stonehenge and the pyramid and the squared circle with the earth and the moon also points out that there is a very interesting musical relationship in the squared circle as well. Let's take a look at this. Sure enough, if you see the two ways to do it, we have the 11 by 14, which is the earth to the moon, and that is all the different sizes of the piece of paper we were just talking about, 8.5 by 11, and then you got your 17 by 11, all these various things, 8.5 by 14, the different sizes. That's your earth-moon ratio, but it's also a musical relationship. Because if we look at the squared circle where they share the same area, meaning that they have the same, if you will, square footage, if they were buildings, right? The area of the circle, the area of the square, and then you look at the relationship between them in their widths, it's 8 to 9. 8 to 9 or 9 to 8 is a whole step, which is a musical frequency. And again, what have I been saying all along? I've been saying that these shapes tune into musical vibrations. They are vibrations throughout the universe that appear as geometry, but the geometry can be created by music. Remember, Dr. Hans Jenny, the guy that showed us the beautiful mandala pattern of sand in a drop of water, you get that Merkaba shape, and it's beautiful. Straight line geometry that just shows up in water? Yes, because you're vibrating it at a perfect sound frequency, like the whole step, 9 by 8. Well, here's the whole step actually showing up in that relationship of the squared circle where they share the same area. So what that means is that when they built Chartres, when they built the cathedral, when they're showing you that this was not done by accident, they did it with the Great Pyramid, they did it with Stonehenge, and they're doing it with cathedrals. You build these things on purpose to be in direct proportion to these universal harmonic musical wavelengths.